Yesterday I met an actor. And you know what's interesting? When he was acting angry, he was actually angry. Fucking blew my mind. So this maybe sounds very logical for you, but yesterday I had aggression training. You know, I work in psychiatry and I need to know basically how to get people to the ground. I'm not meant to knock people out when they're bad. I'm meant to know how to get them to the ground safely. And then we practice with an actor because we need to be in a situation where someone is like completely crossing our borders, being aggressive, yelling. Uh, I know one of my teachers in school just started throwing with chairs, and we were like, "What the fuck?" It's like, so we practiced with this actor, right? And a fascinating guy. This guy was like, he was sitting there. He had a little bit. I think he had a little bit of flair for the dramatic. I don't know, but he was very composed and he was very much himself. I really like that guy. But he was, oh yeah, and then he gets into character. And the funny thing is, when I usually meet an actor, um, I usually feel that they're acting, and that's why I make videos about sensitivity. I feel this shit, you know. I usually feel when someone is acting, so I feel they're not real with what they are doing, and that's why I can also not act because fucking sensitive to that. I have to be practicing with someone who is. I'm all about natural stuff, so I cannot do it unless it's real, basically, and I'm very bad at these situations. And then with this guy, he was acting as an angry like patient, basically. I felt actual anger from this guy, right? And it's not just because he was like, yeah, he was portraying a role, but he was just absolutely just how do you call it, calling in his own anger to do that shit. And of course, you know, I've heard stories about actors who do this, and you know, when they cry, some actors really want to cry, and they that's and it's so amazing to be a good actor. And this guy fucking surprised me because he just comes help us with psychiatry stuff, and he was a genuinely good actor, right? And I love that because what I felt with this guy is that he is processing his own anger and his own emotions with that. And I think I feel like this guy has a lot of emotions. That's why I say he's quite flamboyant and he's like, oh yes, and I feel like he has a lot of emotions, maybe a little bit similar to me. And what he does is just get in a character, really embody that emotion, and then just process it little by little when he snaps into character. It's very amazing. And then he was completely angry, like, and then after he snaps out of character, very calm, and he's very close to himself then. So he's like, I want to say like very secure. He comes off as a very secure guy then. It was really, really interesting for me to see. So because he's processing his anger, he's a stable guy suddenly. That's what fascinates me. So these people are not afraid of handling their emotions. Maybe they are, but when they're an actor, they get joy from maybe feeling like, you know, I'm a very shy person who's way too afraid for the world. And you know, these actors sometimes have to get in these roles for like months and months. And just look at the Joker, like Heath Ledger. You know, it got to him at some point. I don't know everything about the guy, but what I do know is that he did crazy antics to get in that character, and he really had to be the Joker before he was the Joker, before they said, you know, action. So, and this guy too really felt those emotions, and I think that's what really differentiates from actors. And the fascinating thing for me was I was feeling that he was processing his anger there. So each time he embodies that shit, the anger he has in his own life probably becomes a bit less. So that's why when he snaps out of character, he's suddenly very confident. And I can't say for sure if that's true, but that's just what a little glimpse of what I feel when he gets into character felt like for me. So for me, that feels like it's true. And I've not often been wrong with these things, and you know, I tested a lot in psychiatry. You know, it's you know, I get feeling, and then in practice, it's often turns out right. So that it gives me a lot of respect because when I sometimes really have to process my anger, and you know, I have very different methods of doing it. It's very shitty emotions to step in and to be really like, oh, I'm really this afraid of things, really sad about those things, you know. And these guys do it for a living. They get in there. So and that's why I think it matches so well that he's a flamboyant guy, you know what I say? Because I think because he has so much emotions, it helps. So he always, maybe not always, but there's still a lot for him to process then, you know, because he lived through a lot. I'm not sure. So a really amazing guy, and it was also so funny because then he's out of that character. He was fucking angry, and then people were like, "Oh man, and you really did this and you did that," and he was like, "Oh, really? Did I do that?" He was like super shy and shit. He's not a shy guy, but he was like, it's like a little cute embarrassed, I would almost say. It was so funny to have that contrast. Also, what happened is because this guy was genuinely angry and the funny thing is that it's not that he was not angry like himself. He still was really angry as the patient. You know, he had a role, he had a description to the role, and he fit that role quite well, because we were like processing a situation that one of the co-workers had been through, and because of that, because he was really angry, she also got into her real emotion, which was I don't want to say too much about her, but you know, it triggered a lot of responses and emotional stuff with her, and she didn't feel well, and these things trigger a lot of people. So it was a realistic representation for her of how she felt in that moment, and we could actually realistically speak through to like what were options for you and where's the problem, you know, with you or with the other person. We could also that was also amazing about the actor, because he was constantly like, he was not talking about himself when he played the role. It's like, this guy is feeling that, so he was like, yeah, but this guy is feeling like he's not understood. He's not being heard in what he's saying. He feels belittled with what is being said in the moment, right? So he also took the pressure of himself instead, that we constantly talk about him getting angry. You know, he has a name, but we were talking about the character, which how he feels. So she got also really, I don't want to say completely realistic, but quite close to realistic feedback about what her communication does to others in moments like that. Of course, these guys are patients, you know, so they come with like what we call a manual. It's also an English word, so that's but that's why it's so important. Our communication needs to be crystal clear because of that. Because if we don't, you know, things, how do you say that, become more extreme with these guys. So you need to really know what you're saying and why and what it does to a person. And she got a good representation of that, and also got in her emotion. And afterwards I was like, oh, are you okay? Because I felt like she really felt bad and overwhelmed in that situation. And she was like, oh yeah, like she already repressed that shit. So it's like, okay, whatever. I'm the crazy one. So yeah, all good. So I love you all. If you have anything to add, own experiences, I also have a friend that's an actor, by the way, so that was good to see some of that. But if you have any own experience that you want to share, I'm really glad to read those in the comments, and fine to reach out to me. I have my email address on my YouTube channel. So questions also welcome. Have a great day. Subscribe to my channel if you like the content. No obligation. And see you next week. I think next day with a new video. Ciao, ciao.